Hey yo, I'm easily fascinated. I'm feeling so creative. It's your boy Stevie, I'm a planet Earth native. I'm enjoying all the moments cause it's such a thrill living. And I'm not sure if you notice, listen up, we're still spinning. What the fuck is going on? Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? What are we? What's happening? No clue. But that fascinates me to the ends, to the endless amount. And I had my birthday recently. I turned 26, arbitrary number. I feel the same person, just kind of learning shit. Love fucking listening to books, fucking watching podcasts. Yes. Oh, wait, I said that back. I wanted to say it backwards, but I didn't even do my joke correctly. Anywho, I just had so many thoughts when my birthday came of everything I've learned and how different I was from 1 year previous and all these different things I've learned. And I felt like I grew so much. I wanted to share those different little things, but also just kind of explain how I think and why it was just so weird, dude. And just, I don't get how people aren't amazed all the time about simple things like the sun warms you, okay? It's just out there and it warms you on a planet that's the perfect atmosphere and we don't even know of another one, okay? And you're just gonna enjoy that and not be amazed. I get you don't have to be amazed all day long, but at least have a moment of reflection once a day. Wake up and be like, damn it, this is sick. But besides that, what the fuck are you doing? Are you thinking? And the reason is I say that is because when you realize just how ridiculous everything is, then you think about what can you it feels like it opens up the possibilities. What can I do? I've just been coasting, doing my usual whatever, go to school, go to work, do it. Why? And then you have to, like, when you ask about the world, how does this happen? And then you ask about yourself, how do I do that? How did I end up here? How did I even grow? Oh, I thought I heard something, but I think it's just my dryer. So yeah, it's like, since I asked myself those questions, I've become so much better of a person. Not just like I'm a kind person. I'm kind, but you just learn so much because then for example, I started listening to podcasts and I started asking, why do I like this? And it was like, oh, because it's helping me achieve what I want to do or learn about myself. Why do I want to learn about myself? And then when I learn something about myself, it makes it more efficient. I can get more out of this weird life that we're riding through. And it's so much better. You just get to figure out what you're doing. And you feel that word for fulfillment sounds so cheesy and just like obviously it feels good. You're happy, but it's so much more energy. It's like if you went to the gym on 3 days of no sleep and then you ate, you got shot in the neck with a friggin' tranquilizer and then someone put you under the squat rack, how would you feel? Okay, now substitute that with progressive load, and then you take a nice 3 to 4 day break, and then you go there and you take fucking a perfect amount of pre-workout or something, caffeine, and you're just fired up. You have the best soundtrack on your playlist, and you're just fucking fired up. That's how it feels. Does that make sense? With life, that's how it feels. You're just living at a higher level. Everything's so much better. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to do like a year in reflection, talk about what the fuck I learned. One big thing was like just random, all in order, and I'm gonna start with that because what I was gonna say is focus on your strengths and learn about yourself is the most important thing in the world. Because for me, when you become amazed, if I happen to split your brain open, which is the point of this podcast, I want you to be cracked open. Some call it a spiritual awakening. Some people call it skull slitting. No one calls it that. But the point is when you do that, everything's amazing, and I'm intrigued by everything: dancing, fucking bowling, linguistics,
writing, drawing. I can't do all those things, and I want to. Like when I see someone dance, like there's this guy Casey Frey on Instagram. If you know him, he's fucking hilarious. He just made that video of him and his friend playing basketball. Made no sense. They were dancing. That was so hilarious. You need to watch it if you can't. If you haven't seen it, check my Twitter. I tweeted something like, if you're my friend at all, you need to watch this. Because, and the reason I said that, going deeper, is that I made this podcast partly because I have all these ideas and I found myself calling my friends and sharing these ideas, but I was sharing them over and over and over again. So I'm like, I should just make a podcast so I could just branch it out. And then if other people I don't know get some valuable information, that's just a bonus. So this is shout out to my friends, but also shout out to my YouTube. My YouTube is the best. It's growing. I can't believe it's still growing. It's amazing. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Focus on your strengths. What the hell was I saying? I want to do all these different things. I want to learn about what I'm doing. But if I was trying to do everything at once, I was trying to make the best jump program. I'm still making a jump program side, and I'm going to make a free one real quick just so everybody can have something, because I feel too bad for people that are still asking. I just want to direct them to something that they can have some guidance. It's going to be very basic, but at least they can get started, and they don't need they have a lot of questions answered all in one place. Even though I answer them all the time on this podcast and on my vlog, every time I'm just going to put them in one place so you have it and you can stop asking me about questions. Okay. So strengths and weaknesses, I was trying to do all these things, make a good jump program, make some consultation type things, make a jump training, but I'm not a trainer. I know myself better now since last year. I know that I like to create. I like to express myself, as you can tell. And I just like to inspire people and give that energy and talk, obviously. So all these things I need to focus on, because if I'm trying to do other things, even though I like those things, you have to try to learn about yourself so you can figure out what those strengths are, so that way you are putting your energy into the right thing. Because what I was doing is putting my energy into other things, and it was taking away from this, so this was lacking, but this is like what I'm best at. So I don't even know if I'm best at this yet, but it is what I'm most fueled to do, that's why I say passion and your strengths, because I'm definitely passionate about it, which means I get inspired to do it all the time. Whether it's I listen to another podcast or I watch a video, makes me want to create a video. Dunking is just a physical thing, but that's definitely a passion, because I can think about that all day long, talk about it all day long. I want to do it to no end. No matter what I'll do, I'll just never give up. Only because I just the goal of getting to where I want to get dunk-wise is just too amazing, and it was always a dream for me, and I'm already like surpassing my dream, so now it's like next level dreamscaping. What is that noise? Oh, it's just like pipes. I don't know. Sorry. So I was spreading myself too thin, but not only that, I'm trying to make this happen. I'm trying to be a content creator type things like that. So I was trying to do things on my own because I'm trying to save money, or I'm trying to just give myself the best opportunity I can. But I really got to just hammer home my strengths. It makes them better, and then I enjoy it more, and it's just a cycle of that. But it's also strengths when it comes to how you work. Like I love the idea of being super organized and lists and schedules and doing bop, 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 but I can't do that. I can't even listen to this podcast. Is it not all over the place? And I can't fight that. I can't really go against that. I kind of just have to go with the flow, dude. But I hate saying cliche things because they've been so oversaid that they just have no meaning. But the point is, if you're that person, like I have that interest of wanting to write things down. I wanna have a list. I feel like it's more efficient. You see it as efficient. It looks nice. It's neat. You're meticulous. It just seems like something I could physically do to feel productive, right? But it doesn't work for me. What works for me is just ideas splattered all over the friggin' place, and then I rearrange them. So I'm learning that now. When this podcast, I wrote down different things that I wanted to talk about, like nutrition and sleep and strengths and weaknesses and fucking, I don't even know what else. I can't remember, but I structured them, and it made sense, and it helped me like formulate ideas, and I'm like, let me go do it. And then I tried to do this podcast, but you don't know this, but right before this for like 5 minutes, and I tried to go down the list, and it was like so difficult, and I was trying to like constrain myself, and it was not working. So I'm like, you know what? Throw that out the window. For me, what works is having the ideas and just going with it and letting myself go wherever I want. And I think that works for a lot of people as well, especially if you're like trying to do a podcast, something like this. But I'm just trying to give you an example of the strengths. Like I gotta focus on my strengths because I gave you a million reasons. Let me see if I have any written down that was helpful for strengths. Where's my fucking... I don't have anything. But you get the point. And I think that's just something, I guess, to what I want to say more about focusing on your strengths is it takes a long time to learn your strengths, at least for me, because there's a lot of things I like to do and I could get good at them. Like, I know I can kill dancing. I know it. Like, it's in me for sure. I have good rhythm. I'll fucking murder it. I'm outgoing. I don't give a fuck. But I don't have time to do that. I mean, not yet. That's part of my goals is I want to have more time in my future to do things, more hobbies that I just enjoy, but I just can't get good at that. I'm trying to get my friggin' knee right and my hamstring. I'm trying to get my body healthy so I can jump and do my main passion. But then I stumble across a YouTube video with this guy showing a tutorial. Next thing you know, I'm fucking popping and shit. So I gotta like, I mean, obviously you want to have fun and try new things, but I can't go all in on that. And I learned that a lot of these things that are my weaknesses, they take, basically think of it as like a full-time job. If you want to be a creator, it's like a full-time job. You got to think of it that way. And just all these hobbies, if you want to be great at it, because I love the idea of being such a good dancer. I don't know why I chose dancing as the example, but surfing's another one. It's like, I want to be an amazing surfer, but you need so much time for that. So it's just going to pull you away from your main strengths, which are your main focus, and just try to focus on a few things. And I'll let that lead me straight in, going with the flow into my next thing, which is focus. Because your focus is so important. And I learned another huge thing I learned is mindset and focus. And there's all those like podcasts and like different things and different tests of like when you're literally, if they say count how many basketballs are floating around on the screen, you don't even notice things that go on in the background. That just shows you that your brain actually blocks out things that you don't need. Information you don't need, it blocks out. And that's a huge thing that I was going through the whole year. I don't even know if it started literally after my last 25th birthday, but I'm just saying the past year, I know I've learned so much because like when I started listening to podcasts and I would hear connections like that, that's what makes me learn the most. And that's what I want to share is like things like that. Like obviously they say focus is great. Focus on your goals, stay focused, all that stuff, but that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't resonate with me. So for me, if someone says focus because look at this painting, count how many things, and then all of a sudden, did you see the fucking gorilla in the background? No? Oh shit, how did I not even see that? And then I learn about my actual brain and science. I don't need science, but for that example, science is the connection. And I was like, oh man. So I'm learning so many things like that. And then I kept asking questions to learn more about my brain. Why am I intrigued by this? Why am I doing this? And it led me to books. And when because people I looked up to were reading books and they recommended that. So I took that into account. I didn't just think of that as just, oh, that's just an intriguing thought. I really dove into every idea I had. And I think that was really helpful because I learned about books. And when I picked up a book and there was like so much information, you realize, oh, people take so much time into doing these things. They're basically saving all the gems, or they had such a strong feeling of expressing themselves like I do right now that they made a book. They sat down and wrote this thing, 300 pages, whatever, proofread it, got it published. They did all that work. They didn't just like speak and someone wrote it. They had to do so much work. And that's, you don't realize that goes into a book, like until you read one and you realize a really good one and it has so much information. So one of them was Think and Grow Rich. It's kind of like woo-woo-y, magical, believe it, you can do it, whatever it is. But the point is, part of that was showing how strong passion was and mindset. And that got me to try to, and desire, that's the word I meant. And that got me to kind of set some goals for myself with a time limit of dunking and visualizing it. And then when I was listening to other things about visualizing, you learn how when you see something happen, that's when it's possible. And you hear about these stories of like people that ran that they didn't think they could run a marathon in this time, but then one person did it, and then the next year hundreds of people did it. Whatever the stat, it doesn't matter. The point is they saw it happen. Now they knew it was possible. So I visualized and I achieved goals I never did in 2 to 3 years, just because I visualized so hard and believed, and it unlocked a whole like just physical, like like everything's mental, and you hear that, but it's until you have that connection again of smarter people than you, listening to them explain the actual neuroscience behind what happens when you believe and you visualize it, you unlock pathways, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. That connection is huge. So the power of the mind is unreal, and that is another one. So the first one was focus on your strengths. The second one is power of the mind. Let's see. Do I have anything about power of the mind on my little list? No, of course not. But recently, I just learned more about the power of the mind. One thing that was super fascinating, this is a great example of what I'm talking about, what I learned from a podcast. I think it was Rogan, of course, Joe Rogan. He had Andrew Weil on. They were talking about placebo effect, and the placebo effect is real, right? I don't think I have to convince you of that. You've all heard it. People take a medicine, and they think it's something, but it's nothing. And next thing you know, their fucking warts are gone. I don't know, whatever. But the point is they're gone, or something healed. Their skin, their physiology changed only because they believed they took something that worked. So whatever, the people always play it off. Yeah, it's placebo effect. As long as it worked, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But what happened? Okay, something happened. You had a thought, you did it. Your mind controlled things. And obviously, like sometimes you have a stomach ache. That's not like a real pain. You're just almost like created that stomach ache with your mind, and then you make it go away with your mind. I'm more talking about serious things. Like you have like some kind of rash, or you have like a real ailment that may need real treatment, but they give you a placebo and it actually heals because your mind can heal it. So if you know the placebo effect is real and you could believe that, why can't we use that intentionally? And why can't we try when we have ailments or we have something, visualize it or say we can heal ourselves and that happen? And more on that is, even if we can't do it intentionally, why not think of that more? What else can the mind help us do if we literally try to use it, right? So if it's able to heal our skin, heal our bodies from within with the mind, right? And you're visualizing these things, you can do it. And there's all these studies of people, like when you hear doctors on podcasts and they talk about studies they've done, they've been a friggin' cancer doctor for 20 years, and they see 95% of their patients who are religious or believe in a higher power or believe they can beat it are the ones that beat it. And like those type of statistics are indisputable evidence that the power of the belief is a huge factor in healing your body. So if you know that, how much are you missing out with your brain if you're not just trying to visualize it or use it to the most? So I'm obsessed with that now. I'm trying to master my mind. I'm reading other books on it, trying to understand just how much I can do and how to get myself to believe it, because that's a hard thing. I do have a manifesting podcast a few months back, and I'm going to give an update on that shortly. Long story short, actually, it's December. I could give it now. It's just that I gave myself a goal of making $10,000 a month on YouTube. Did not come close, but I learned so much from trying to visualize, and I'm still implementing those strategies of visualizing your goal all the time. And for me, one thing I learned, which I can move on to the next thing now, is more spiritual ways to live. And I didn't just choose spiritual. I was just learning about the mind and how to focus and all these different things, because I learned all these incredible facts and things to do, and I didn't know how to use them. And it led me to kind of spiritual things, because I heard so many good things about meditation. Again, I was listening to podcasts, and they were talking about how meditation is so good for your brain, how it helps you to focus correctly and all these, and I didn't really understand it. And that will probably, I don't even know if I just said this just 2 seconds ago, but I'm saying it again. It's leading me to my next thing, which is meditation, not focus. What was I about to say? You have meditation, you have the... Oh, God, what was I about to say? I don't know. I guess I'll go with meditation. Damn, I wish I could fucking remember what I was about to say. Focus, setting, visualizing, meditation. Fucking hey, man, I'm so dumb. I was thinking about too many things at once. But anyway, the meditation thing, it keeps you aware. And I got it. So what I was gonna say is, leading me to my next thing is, doing things is a huge part of learning and growing, because all these things I learned, I had to put them into action. And when you put them into action, it totally shifts you, because then you understand, and these feelings or these cliche statements I say all the time, or they make sense, and then you could actually understand them. And meditation is a great example. So I'm kind of doing well with this podcast. As far as my own standards go, I have the highest standards for myself to try to bring valuable... Fuck it. You get the point. But with the meditation, it was something I heard was so beneficial, and it's great for your mind. And at this time, I was trying to visualize these things, and they say meditation is a great way to get in touch with your mind and control your mind, and just great for your body, everything. There's just a million benefits, and so many successful people do it. So if you see that, it's how could you not give it a try? So I gave it a try, and I started to learn that, because the basic meditation is focus on your breath, let thoughts pass, and don't focus on any thoughts. And I think nonstop. That was like my weakness at one point. I couldn't stop thinking. I thought it was like I can't focus at all. But I just had meditation help that. And what it is now I'm using it as a strength, because my mind never stops, and I'm now using that as a strength. So you learn about yourself, and then you could turn your weaknesses into strengths. Okay, let me get back to meditation. So in meditation, you focus on your breath, you let these thoughts pass. And I was like, how do you let thoughts pass? Those thoughts, I get caught up in those thoughts, and they're good ideas too. Like, how do I let those ideas pass? I want to like write those down. But one of the things I learned is just to refocus. So you focus on your breath. And as I was learning about more meditation, I heard another person explain it a little bit better, or something, a way I can understand. So when you do research or you're learning about things, keep trying, because when you keep trying, you may stumble upon more information that leads you to the next step. Because if I never tried, I would have not been like, well, I can't stay away from my thoughts, and then I didn't know what to search next. You know what I'm saying? So if I would have just not tried, I wouldn't have had the next question. So you got to do stuff to get the next question. So what I did was I found some other guy who said, they say let your thoughts pass, but don't worry about if you get caught in your thought. Just try to refocus. So that helped me a lot, because I kept getting caught in my thoughts, and I'd be like, oh, I failed. But what you do is you get caught in your thoughts, you acknowledge it, you say, oh, I'm thinking, and then you go back to my breath. And that's the little muscle, and that's the way I work, that connection. If he mentioned it as a muscle, I think it was Duncan Trussell, for any of you guys that know who he is. If you want to know more about him, he's awesome. He's got his own podcast called The Family Hour, I believe. Duncan Trussell, he was saying that meditation, he focuses on his breath. He gets caught up in thought. He acknowledges he's thinking. He just says, oh, I'm thinking. And he goes back to his breath. And he was saying that refocus is the muscle. And I know how to work muscles. I know all about training, and I know all how you need to work a muscle, and you need to create stimulus. I understand that concept so well. So when I applied that concept to meditation, it worked for me. It made that link. It connected me. So now I understood how to practice. And I've been practicing almost every day. I went on spurts for like a few days where I forget, but I do it almost every night when I go to sleep, because it helps me sleep. Because when I try to sleep with nothing, I would just drift off in my thoughts and be like, oh, I was like too aware. My mind goes way too fast. So that's why meditation's helped me so dramatically. This is going to transition next to my next thing really nicely. You'll see. But what was happening is when I would sleep, how I used to sleep was watch TV until my mind kind of shut off from the TV, and I would just drift off into sleep. But I didn't like that, because sometimes the TV would be interesting and the screen, and I would like it, and I would force myself to stay up. So I was like, I'll try meditation. When I practiced it during the day, I'm like, oh, this is making me super tired. Let me try it before I sleep. What if I just focus on my breath? And it was working. If I focus on my breath long enough, I just fall asleep. So now I could fall asleep in like 10, 15 minutes. And even when I say that, I don't believe it. But it's true. If I do it and I really focus, I drift off a few times and I realize I'm falling asleep. But then I'm like, oh, just focus on your breath. Don't worry about that. And it's just about that refocus. And now here's the best part about the refocus is that you can use it in everything you do. And that's why it's so transformative to me, because when I was learning how to stretch recently, right, you have to stretch, you have to relax your muscles, you have to breathe. And for me, I was trying to stretch, and I was reaching, holding a position for even like a minute, 2 minutes, but I wasn't getting any more flexible. And I haven't yet, but I think I understand how to do it now. But I learned from when I went to ATG, shout out to Jeff, the Flexible, he's told me, he was saying, you can only stretch a muscle that's relaxed. So for me to like reach and tense up, even though I was like pulling so hard, I'm not stretching anything, because that muscle is tensed and it's contracted. I need to have it relaxed. So for me to do that, I had to really listen to my body and try to get to the point where it's stretching, but enough where it can be relaxed and I could breathe. And then I could focus on my breath. And then I caught myself drifting off, and then I'd be holding it for a minute, but then a minute would go by and I'd realize I'm super tense for that whole minute. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I can use this as a meditation. And I was focusing on my breath the whole time. And so I was constantly conscious of being relaxed and breathing for my stretch. And that day, I got the best stretch of my life. I didn't really get that much flexible, but I felt different. I felt a new level of ability. And I was like, oh, wow, this meditation practice of refocusing to my breath can be applied to different things in my life. So now I realized I can use that refocus for everything I do. And so when you do something like when you're trying to get something done, like I don't really have homework or anything like that, but that would be a good one. But like editing, sometimes I have to do meticulous things, or I want to get it done, is just, or you're trying to do anything, you're trying to make a schedule, you're trying to do anything, I'm trying to think of a good example. Even a podcast right now is like I can just breathe and focus on my breath and just focus on what I want to do. And I can just keep refocusing. And if I drift off, it's okay. Just kind of refocus. And that muscle of refocus gets so strong that I barely drift off. Or even if I do, I only drift off for a quick second. I can come right back to the task at hand. So that meditation is amazing. And this is kind of backtracking because I've gotten super deep, but the meditation leads me to sleep, and it's helping me sleep so much better. But this is just an example I probably should have used earlier, but sleep is another huge thing I learned because I was trying to go super hard with content creating, with my life in general. I was like, I'm going to wake up at 7 every day, no matter what time I go to sleep, because if I wake up at 7, I'll get used to it. And if I can have a good day, and I was having like good workout sessions, even dunk sessions, when I would wake up at 7, even if I got like 4 hours of sleep, I was like, see, I can still function. And I was like, I can make the most out of my day. Every day I'm 7, I can have a really solid routine, be super efficient because I wake up at the same time every day. I do the same routine every day with the same timing, blah, blah, blah. But then I had this podcast with Joe Rogan, which I probably mentioned before, and he had Matthew Walker on. I'm pretty sure he's a neuroscientist. And he was saying that you need a minimum of 7 hours of sleep. And if you don't get that, then you're basically handicapped the next day. You have you're basically intoxicated. You're more prone to injuries. A lot of people, he had like all these studies and all these like connections, like I like to hear of like studies that are done of like NBA players that had injuries and like their sleep schedules, and they were very poor. And it was just people that have no injuries had great sleep schedules, AKA LeBron. So AKA, why did I say AKA? IE as example. But my point is that's my whole paradigm around sleep completely shifted in one day, and I just adapted that. I'm like, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to try to get 7. Like even tonight, right now, I got to wake up early, and I was going to do this podcast, but I'm like, I need sleep. I'm like, maybe I could try to go to sleep right after with my meditation, so I'm trying to squeeze it in. But sleep is just a huge thing, and I felt the difference, and you learn how to get better sleep. For example, I was sleeping okay, but then I got sick. And I know I'm super mental when it comes to these things. So when I got sick, I was like, oh, I really need sleep. And when I was trying so hard to sleep, it was like really hard to meditate, and I couldn't get good sleep. And then I was sick. And then since I was sick, I was like uncomfortable and congested. I couldn't sleep. And then the days after that, when I was recovering, I was like, I really need sleep. I just got really bad out of a sleep cycle. And I slowly meditated back into it. But I also realized that I was probably a little deficient in magnesium because of my diet. And not even my diet, just because I work out a lot, and like it's just a supplement that a lot of people need in general. And when I looked that up, how I found that was when I was looking up like sleep, and I noticed this is all going back to my first point, which is focus on yourself and think for yourself and really try to be the best you can be, because you learn so many things that enhance your life so much. And one of those things was I was sleeping, but once in a while, it was like once a month, I'd get like a full deep sleep where I woke up like a freaking zombie, right? But most of the time I was like super light sleeping. If I'd roll over, I'd be awake. If like I heard a tiny noise, it would wake me up. I just felt like I was on the brink of wakefulness at all times. I took magnesium, and now I sleep so much deeper. It just feels like a normal sleep. I feel like I sleep through the night. And I don't take that much, but it's just a little supplement. But I've heard that a lot of people need it for better sleep. And I learned that just because I was curious and I took note, and you're aware. And to bring it full circle, that meditation, when you focus on your breath, it helps. That's why I say this podcast I want it to be your meditation, so I can kind of get you started, because it's helped me so much, is that meditation brings your awareness to your breath, which just brings you aware to your surroundings and where you're at. Because a lot of times what you want to do when you start meditating is just like, acknowledge the sounds around you, acknowledge how you feel, and then just focus on your breath. So you can kind of get all those things out of your way and just really go into yourself and focus. So because I meditate often, I'm constantly aware of how I'm feeling and how my body's feeling. And that's helped me notice every little thing and listen to my body and notice how I can be better and more efficient in things I love to do, and just get the most out of every second of my life, boy. And it's fun. 1 second, I gotta check my camera. my camera friggin' shuts off after 30 minutes, but it's also the memory card's being messed up, so I don't know when it shut off. So technical difficulties. The sound will be fine, but if you're watching it, it just went black. Shout out to my loyal podcast audio listeners, dude. You guys are the real GOAT. It's so funny for me to think that this is coming through your car stereo or your headphones at work or something. That's super awesome. But anyway, I think I got through exactly what I wanted to. The meditation, the focus on your strengths, and I just constantly ask myself, it's like, why do I even want to do this? And I've seen other people do it, so it helps me explain myself, which is I just want to express myself. I don't know why yet. It's just that force you feel of like when you want to do something, and it's like, why do I want to do anything? Like I even think that deep. It's like, what's the point of anything? But I do come back to the word enjoy, and it's just I just enjoy it. And when you find something you enjoy at such a high level, it's hard to stop, and you just want to get better at it. So I want to get better at making podcasts and just making videos, but I just want to create. I have such an urge to create, and I think that's why my brain's all over the place, because I'm not a neat person. Like I've seen people who have their desks and they're just when they set it up, they're neat. I'm more of get it all down and then rearrange. And I'm starting to learn that now, actually, especially from taking so many notes on my phone, writing things down. I notice when I write things down, though, I barely go back and look at them. Like once in a while I do, but I have these boards up on my wall right now that just have like big words that I want to know. Like right now it says master your mind and balance and consistency, those type of things, like mantras, I guess. And I see them every morning, so that's helpful. But just little, I don't like to say hacks because I watched this TED Talk or just talk from Rich Roll, who's an amazing podcaster and ultra marathon runner. He said he doesn't like the word. He didn't say he liked the word, but he said hacks are like shortcuts. I don't like to use the words hack because it sounds like shortcut, but hacks and like more efficiency and you're doing better. I don't like efficiency too because that sounds like shortcut. But basically, I like these additions that help you do better. So like if you have something you need to remember, you put it somewhere you could see every day. And I really like that because that, again, that goes back to the podcast I've listened to and the neuroscience behind it. Those get in your head and in your subconscious and you see it and you could affect that. It's not just something that's good to do. If you see it every day, you're going to be reminded and it's going to change your actual behaviors. And there's so much to do it. And the power of the mind is so much stronger than you think. And I just challenge you to try to be the best self you can be and really get to the core of why you want to do everything you want to do. And I promise you, I can't commit to anything. I most likely think you will see a big shift in how you feel and how much happy you are. And if you're in a bad spot and you might not want to look deep in yourself because you're not happy with how you've been doing things so far, but that's okay because you can just start now. And it's better to start now and then wait. So I'm looking forward to 2019. I don't really give a fuck, though, because every day is the same for me. I like 2019 because it feels fresh. Like you feel like you get a new year and you kind of get, I like the holidays. I get gifts for people, my family, and I feel like I got to tidy up stuff, fucking taxes and shit. But like other than that, it just feels like it's new and I like fresh and I like having new energy. But yeah, constantly learning about myself. I really love trying to make these structured. I really love trying to bring perfect, valuable information, but this one came out great. I think I got out the information I wanted to, even though it was kind of boom, boom, like back and forth between things. I did feel, like right now, if I think about how I feel, meditate a little bit, I feel like I got out the message I wanted to say about each of the topics, and I was able to articulate my feelings, which is the hardest thing I do, which is the new thing I realize is sometimes I have feelings I want to express, but I don't have the time to write it down. I don't have the time to make a podcast, but I want to kind of like draw it, but I suck at drawing. So I do like computer art sort of type, like digital art. I've done some a little bit with like a street and that's in the sky. Instead of like a sunset, it's like stars. So it's kind of like mystical. I like that a lot. And I realized like that's my art. And maybe I could try to convey these feelings instead of into words, into a picture, because sometimes pictures can produce that feeling, or you can understand what I'm trying to say by just looking at a picture without just me trying to put it into words, because some feelings you can't put into words. But yeah, the universe is still going. No fucking clue how it started. We don't know where it's going. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. There's a lot of different things out there that we don't even know. There's all these different, like we know things that we can't see that are going on all around us. I say this all the time. We only have a few senses, so keep that in mind. And just know that your mind controls every effing thing you do. And if it doesn't, prove to me it doesn't, because I guarantee you, if you really think about it, every thought you've had probably shaped you. And if you didn't think it did, you're wrong. No, keep it positive. But I really think that your power of your mind is so insane. We have no clue what it was. I just learned today or yesterday that patients that have near-death experiences, they can have no brain activity, but they have the outer body experience. I said this backwards, damn it. They have an outer body experience when they're dead, like, and they're being resuscitated in the hospital, and the doctors are resuscitating them and saying things, and they could see everything happening, and they could hear what the doctors are saying, and the doctor said that they can recall what they heard, and they're accurate. Like the doctor said, yeah, we were actually doing that and saying that, and during that time, they have no brain activity. So that's literally like to me, that's their soul out of their body watching them. And I mean, I don't know how the hell they're recording their brain when they're trying to resuscitate them, but I mean, I trust the doctor. And this guy was like a doctor in the ER for 20 years. It was a TED Talk. I think it was called From Life to Death and Beyond and Back, or something like that. If you really want that link, just comment. I don't have that many followers yet, and I respond to all of them. Even if you have a ton of comments, I like to read all the comments, and I do try to respond to every single person because I'm a huge fan of YouTube. So when I see other YouTubers and I comment on them and they respond to me, it means the world to me. So I'm just trying to give back as little as I can. I mean, as much as I can, because you know what I mean? Like every little, I don't even know. Okay, that's it. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. Have a good night. Enjoy the universe. Enjoy your life. Be the best friggin' human skin person you could be. And I'll be here in a few days. I don't know when I'm posting it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the hell's going on. One thing I know is we're still spinning. This friggin' planet is literally spinning, and it's got my mind fucking warped. But luckily I can meditate a little bit and calm those voices. Calm a little bit. Just temporarily so I can get a little sleep. 7 hours minimum. And we're good. Dunking soon too. I'm super pumped for that. My body is becoming my temple. It already is, but I'm trying to get it healthy instead of just fucking push it through the wall like I usually do. All right. Love you to the maximum. I'll see ya. Toodaloo. Let me know what you think of this, because I think this is my favorite yet. I hope to have much better podcasts every time. I hope to up myself and push myself, and I'm having the best life I can possibly have. And I really attribute it to the fact that I'm pushing my thoughts every second. I'm constantly thinking and seeing what I can do and really setting myself up for the highest I can possibly live in this life, and see goals as I can do anything if I put my mind to it, but also anything is possible because everything is so ridiculous. Okay, you get the point. Love you. See ya. Toot-taloo.
Hey yo, I'm easily fascinated.
Oh, and if you like this video, throw it a thumb, and yam the subscribe, because that helps your boy. You know I'm trying to be, you know what I'm trying to do. Check out another video too. One of these.